Today we're talking about ChainLink, the ticker symbol LINK link. So ChainLink's been around for a little bit. They did an ICO, did pretty well. ERC20 token, Ethereum-based application. And what they're trying to do is bridge that gap between the outside applications that you have every application on the internet right now that use APIs, which are just application programming interfaces. They're really just ways and commands to talk from one program to another. And it's what the internet really relies on to function properly. All these different connected programs that you use in your day to day. So what they're trying to do is link those APIs, the real world traditional APIs, with smart contracts on different blockchain networks. So when you take a look at what the network is, the network of ChainLink is trying to make it possible for these smart contracts to leverage newly created Oracle network. So this whole new Oracle network, and oracles are something that are used to bridge that gap, right? Something that has access to this outside data and links it back to the blockchain network. So they're all off-chain, but they're brought to the on-chain. And through these kind of oracles, smart contracts are able to pull the data off these traditional applications and apply them. So we have projects already using oracles that we kind of talked about before, and you have different ways of connecting data to the network, like RFID chips and all these other sort of things we talked about in other projects. These oracles, though, are traditionally, they're all centralized, right? They all run through a centralized oracle that someone created and someone controls. But with ChainLink, the thing that's a little bit different is that they're decentralized by nature and by design. So no one actually controls these oracles or can tell these oracles what to do. They can just leverage them. So it kind of goes with that whole paradigm of cryptocurrencies instead of fighting it like the rest of them or trying to find the easy way to do it, I guess. But it pretty much begins with an on-chain Ethereum smart contract that pulls information off these off-chain Oracle network that's created by ChainLink. So when you look at on-chain, on like the Ethereum blockchain, a user can deploy an Ethereum smart contract just like you would any other dApp. And that kind of request, and you kind of request to pull data, off-chain data, through these oracles. And that's the first step, which requires you to submit that contract to the ChainLink network. And the user can kind of set all different parameters, whatever they're kind of looking for. So like maybe like the reputation of the oracle, because that's kind of how this decentralized network of oracles work, based on like reputation and how good the data is and everything. So you can search by that. You can search by number of resources you need or how many it can provide. All these different specifications you can select from. You can do like a manual selection, or ChainLink's working on and creating a automatic pairing of a user and an oracle based on the best of everything pretty much. So you have different options, and once you're kind of paired with a user that submitted the contract on the Ethereum blockchain and an off-chain oracle, once those are paired, the oracle kind of carries out its job. Right, it pulls the data off-chain application submitted on the blockchain as per the contract. So to ensure the more accurate data, because that's kind of the problem right now, is how can you verify that Oracle is pulling the correct data, right? And you're not just getting the wrong data. An aggregating contract kind of processes this information. The contract accumulates all of this collective data on the chosen article or oracles and balances all of them. And they kind of get like a final result on the ChainLink 3-step query can be deployed by the smart contract by the user on a smart contract. So it's this kind of system put in place to kind of check oracles based on a few different specifications, and it kind of gives you a result on, well, how much can you actually trust this based on past users and everything like that. So kind of explain a little bit more is when you look off chain, is oracles are located off the network and collect data from the real world resources as requested by the original Ethereum smart contract. And these nodes could be from any sort of application. As a result, kind of like as an example, I guess you could take a look, like the Weather Channel could be running a node that holds all of its data or data from a specific day or whatever it might be. And users could connect using ChainLink to have the weather condition data implemented into the smart contracts. Currently, ChainLink only interfaces with smart contracts on Ethereum, but in the future, the program is kind of looking to be a little flexible and blockchain agnostic. But once the data is collected, it's run through ChainLink core on the network and the nodes. And this ChainLink core software is the infrastructure that everything's kind of built off and interacts with the actual blockchain. So once all this data is processed, ChainLink core connects with an oracle on chain for results aggregation, as we kind of talked about above a little bit. But I mean, it's a little more complicated. I'd like to go into a little bit more in depth when we on a later video on how those oracles are actually processed and the process of aggregating all those results. So you kind of have the oracles that are used to do all this stuff. Those that kind of like won this bid of being chosen because they have the best and most reputable information and data. Or I guess if they're chosen manually by a user, because you could do one or the other. And in compensation for this, those off-chain oracle providers are paid in Link, the token. So that's kind of the use case of the token, which is it's the native ChainLink token. So the oracles get paid in Link for providing that information. So as of now, like smart contracts are all built on blockchain networks that are kind of being limited and confined within their network. Smart contracts, without a doubt, change nearly every part of traditional service offerings, but alone they really can't do too much if they're just stuck on that blockchain. There needs to be other information coming into it to be able to leverage those contracts, right? So unless you can kind of introduce that real world data onto a decentralized and trustless way, there's really an advantage in creating a fully decentralized system. It can kind of lead to greater cost, greater scaling, all this great stuff in the long term, at least. Short term, oracles are pretty far out. I think ChainLink's pretty ambitious. Without a doubt, it's interesting. They have a very good technical paper. They do have some great code out there. It's just before oracles become reputable, that entire reputation system is still pretty far off, I think. And from what I've read from other more technically inclined leaders in the space. So you have this data providers outside of the traditional feeds that kind of will have the opportunity to grow with the implementation of a decentralized and reputation-based system, because all these different traditional things are going to be displaced, right? You kind of see that in all these different markets, and I don't think this is going to be any different when it comes to APIs and data sources. So I'd like to go a little more in depth on the ChainLink oracles a little bit in the later video. I kind of want to compare all these different oracle projects and kind of see what makes them all different. But pretty much ChainLink's trying to create that decentralized oracle, and from there, I guess we can kind of build off that. So I hope you guys learned something.